I had a choice, actually, to speak about culture or ROI today. And after 2 years of going to conferences and asking people about their business cases, and literally people all around the world telling me, I don't know, it's hard, I was like, okay, so that's something we all struggle with. And probably nobody will venture to do this. So I'm just going to go for it. I know people have done a lot of culture presentations. We heard MG yesterday talking about a fantastic way of positioning culture. We know that part. But how do you get money? And why is it so hard? It's hard because proving the worth of customer experience financially is actually almost impossible. You go to a CFO and you're like, hey, I may or may not increase your revenues, and I may or may not save costs. Like Uber said yesterday, I may have to actually reinvest the money. It's pretty bad. We have like nothing to go on. And what essentially your CFO is hearing is, hey, give me 20 million. I'm not going to increase your value prop, but everybody will be happy. And it's going to be totally worth it for you. So you know what? It's extremely hard for them to get there. And the other challenge we have is we know much more than they do about the realities of the perceptions of the customer. They are in the balance sheets, they're in the income statements, they're talking about percentages. They're not where you are at all. So how do you walk the walk to get them where you guys are? So let's imagine. You got to first start with their language. So let's imagine you have your 80s airports grade quotes experience. Paper heavy, labor heavy, you have podiums everywhere, computer terminals everywhere. It's like infrastructure heavy. And you somehow get the money to say, hey, I'm going to take this all out. I'm going to introduce self-service, facial recognition, whatever technology you want to do. And I'm going to what? End up with the same circle. I'm just going to reallocate it. Okay? I'm going to, best case scenario, make you less reliable on the labor crap and all the unions. And now you're going to shift your effort from union negotiations to negotiating maintenance contracts with some technology partner. And that's what I want to do. Well, the best case scenario for them is like, oh my God, I hope she breaks even. I just hope it doesn't actually have some hidden cost in IT that she didn't find out that's going to just hit me one time. So how do you get out of that, I'm breaking even? Well, you talk about what actually you've done structurally for that CFO. Because you have done more than you think. What you've done is you've allowed this CFO to scale, to grow this operation, and to not invest continuously costs in that operation for their new customers. So let's take a JFK airport operation for us. What I did with the self-service project was not only shift the labor costs out, and we do have some reduction there, but we also have allowed us to grow and not worry about throughput because everything is faster. So now if you have an intelligent CFO across, they will get that part, and that's huge. You're scaling, you're growing, you're building them for the future. And you're doing it in a way where your customer now is like, oh my God, they're so cool. It's seamless, it's fast, it's amazing. So you have done more than you think. You're not actually breaking even. But if you don't walk them through that, they're not going to see it. And that's important. It's important to not assume they'll see it and be mad when they don't. Just think about how they'll get you. Now, the other part of what we're doing here is brand, right? Brand building. We have read all the books about engaged customers, connected customers, brand equity, and all of the good impact we have. But how do you, again, talk to CFOs about that? They're not marketers. They're not going to understand that part. And how do you talk about, hey, here's the math. If you have negative experiences, we know customers speak. We might not be able to tell you that a connected customer will be a repeat customer, but we know for a fact that a negative and mad customer is going to convey their expression in the world. So you need to protect the brand. So customer experience and the business case for it is about brand protection, because we have seen what happens in terms of brand erosion when people don't protect their brand. Now, who remembers this fun stuff? I mean, Dove was like really, I don't know who did that campaign, but obviously they didn't care about the customer. And guess what happened? The customer told them. So customer experience is not just about us redesigning operational stuff. It's also about controlling that public conversation, about making sure this is not online. And how do you do that? You do that by not doing Pepsi ads and not thinking about customer perception. Because guess what? You're going to see that in social media. And it's not going to be fun. And again, you can't really prove that if you get it right, you're going to get money. But what you can show your CFO, and they will hear you, is that this can happen if you don't pay attention to your customer. So how do you make your case? Well, so many of my colleagues go and say, here's how much money I want. It's not going to happen. Okay? If you just go and say, I want this, and then what are you going to do with it? What's your ROI? Oh, I hate finance. That's not going to work. Okay? So you start with the story. So let's go back to our airports experience. You start with the story. Hey, CFO, we used to need this to travel. The smartphone took away the camera. I don't know if you guys still pack cameras. I don't. When I travel, my phone became my camera a long time ago. What I'm going to do with my facial recognition project is eliminate two other things that are essentials of travel today. What I'll do with my project, or whatever investment you guys are asking for, is make my face be everything. From now on, the customer only will need to use their face to travel. That eliminates so many things in the travel ribbon. But you need to walk them through the storyline before you go and you start talking about money. Because guess what? Now that you have the story and you have gotten some emotional connection, now they're paying attention. Now they feel you. And we are marketers internally. So a financial conversation is actually a marketing conversation. And unfortunately, we don't think that way, and that's why we lose a lot of the battles. Now, once you are here, then you can go and start talking about the money. Now, I don't have what I'm building right now for the facial recognition because we're still building this, but I can tell you what we did for self-service. We started with the travel ribbon. Now, they may or may not know all the parts of your travel ribbon, but it's good to frame it. Where are you? Like, what is he investing in, or she? And for me, it was the lobby. I was like, hey, you're going to be at touch point 1. And what are you going to do there? You're going to introduce self-service. What are you going to do? Well, you're going to buy new stuff. You're going to gut old stuff. Okay, what is your ROI? Well, throughput. And that's where we go back to the operational metrics. And you don't always start with financials. Because an intelligent person would understand that if you make the operation faster, more reliable, more scalable, it will mean money. And what money it will mean would depend on what your results are. In my case, it was lower cost in terms of labor. And it also meant, hey, I'm going to shift all these people to the concession side much faster. You will see some money there that you didn't have today. I always put NPS for Chicos, but nobody cares. In a financial conversation, you can keep trying. It's not going to work. We used to have some ratio. I don't even bother anymore. The moment I say NPS, they just phase out. So what else happened with us when we did a great self-service? Well, the conversation changed. You had a social media conversation that now we controlled that was, hey, JetBlue, you rock. Hey, JetBlue, you get me. Hey, JetBlue, you alleviate anxiety. Now make sure your CFO sees that. I'm shameless, shameless. I send all the tweets. I send everything so they know, hey, it worked. Hey, your people love you. Everyone wants to be loved. A CFO also wants to hear that his brand is loved. He doesn't want to just be buried in financials. So just keep that conversation so he doesn't see you only when you need him or her. So that's kind of easier when you're building something new and you're revolutionizing something. But what happens when you want to fix something that's already there? Then it's even harder. Then it's like, oh, why do I need to fix it? It's already, we do this. We do this today. What are you going to do tomorrow? So I would say bring how bad it is to the boardroom. Bring it on. Bring the reviews. Quote the words when they say it sucks. Yeah, you do something, but it's terrible. Yes, you have the check mark of utility delivery, but it's really bad. Your customer is like not even valuing what you're giving them. So I'm here to fix it, and I'm here to make it better. And I'm here to ask you to care if the customer actually likes what you're giving them. So let's go with the fun bag we give when we delay customers. I mean, I don't know why I hate this lunch bag so much, but it's just like, okay, 2 plus 5, 4 plus whatever your airline's rules are, we bring something out. Here is a lunch bag like you're a 5th grader, and here is what you're gonna eat now because I delayed you. So yeah, we feed you, but is that really something memorable? Are you gonna go home and be like, oh my God, JetBlue is so cool, they just fed me an apple? Or are you gonna go and say, hey, JetBlue is amazing because there is a self-service virtual coupon of whatever amount you guys can afford to give, but guess what? I could redeem it anywhere. If you want massage, you went and had a massage. If you wanted to get the last Forbes magazine, you could buy that. Now, I'm not treating you like a child. Now I'm actually empowering you to customize this, to use it to your liking, whatever you need, and to get some control. Now, is this expensive? Absolutely, it's expensive. But guess what? If I do the lunchbox, I'm at the bottom. I just gave you an apple. If I'm up there, now I have emotional connection with you. Now you go home and you're like, I wish everybody did this. So now I've created a new experience. Now I'm a customer experience professional, and I have been able to communicate this to my CFO. Not only that, but your ROI would matter when you get to the top. The challenge, though, is you need somehow to get to the top. If you stay at the middle, I don't think it's enough. Because that wow that people talked about earlier really happens at the top of the pyramid. So if you're gonna do it, my point here is, if you're gonna go and change something that sucks today, you gotta really go exceptional. Don't stop at the middle. Go and think something, even if it's, honestly, if you're gonna ask for 5 million, go ask for the 5.5. Do the cream on top, because it's gonna pay off. And it has paid off for us. You know, when we did the self-service lobbies, I remember the brand piece. I spent, I don't know how much, but like hours, talking with our IT guys about the lights of the kiosks, okay? Need to have, must have, minimum viable product, whatever. Is the lights important? No, dude, like the kiosk works without the light, but with the lights, it's cool. So I want the lights. And guess what? Everybody's talking about the lights. Because now our lobby after 6 p.m. is dark, and when you get on JFK on the moving elevator and that whole hallway is lit in blue, oh my God, I still get goosebumps, and I did this thing. It works. Now, were the lights millions of dollars? No, but they were this extra mile that like 99% of the designers would be like, okay, whatever. Don't give up. If you have a vision and if you have something that is like just a nice tickling thing at the top, go for it. Delay a week, delay a month, do it right. Okay, now there is a desperation approach here, strategy, if nothing else works. You go and you say that they're gonna die. And you know what? Kodak, you know, there are all these good brands that fail. You have plenty to use. They will hear you. Okay, they will pay attention, but you gotta go big. You know what I mean? Go find something that from their era, whenever they're, you know what I mean? I have one for Kodak, another one for Toys R Us. Like you gotta get the era right, and just tell them, you want to be that? And they're like, no, I don't want to be that. Oh, okay. Well, guess what? We're all one Zuckerberg away from being completely obliterated here. So. Think about it. 10 million, 20 million survival, it kind of works as a math. So these are really working techniques. I've done them. I'm honestly not telling you something that somebody told me. I lived through all of that. Now, the last challenge we all have, and everybody hears it, oh, what about prioritization? Because the money is half, but the resources, nobody pays attention to me, blah, blah, blah. Well, let's talk about this, because I haven't done any journey map. Oh, I know what it is. I took the CXPA exam. I know how to do a journey map. I haven't done one. You know why? Because so many of my colleagues are buried in maps, okay? They have walked. I've gone in rooms. I'm not going to say who, but it was one of the authorities. The woman was like surrounded by journey maps. I was like, so why is it still sucking? Why your escalator still doesn't work, you know? Oh, you know, funding, resources, okay. So let's talk about how you actually get prioritization right. Just do it, okay? Just do it. Take that, make it that, and it's gone. People will give you money. Just do something. Thank you. Here, self-service, just do it. Once you do this, people will be like, oh my God, what? Customer experience? I'm going to give her money. That's how it works. It doesn't work when you have journey mapping, like, oh, this is this touch point and this sucks. No, this will work. Go do that. Go say, hey, here's facial recognition. Here's what's going to happen. Go, you know, this strings, we push this in the law. Like, it's such a, if you've seen how I actually set this up, but the customer loved it. And then you have something tangible to show to your people. And by the way, it wasn't even that expensive to do this. But I did all of it, right? I mean, that's the problem. Or like what we're doing now in June, look at that. PowerPoint slide, static, versus this. I even have 5 or 10 of those. Informational boards at the airport that's going to come in July. People will give you money if you show results. If you do things, you will get money. Trust me on that. Now, another pain point that I think all of us we need to face is this. Measurements. I know we all hate this part, but you know what? KPIs and measurements is what people understand when you have to justify your investments. So stop analysis paralysis and just venture out and report something, okay? Don't report it in a month after you're like 100% sure that that's everybody signed off. No. Day one, report something. When we launched facial recognition, I literally did a paper survey. So, okay, paper. Do we have a VOC team? Of course we do. I check like if that questionnaire is right here, and I started giving it to people. Then I tallied it up in a freaking paper the second day and sent it to my boss. By that evening, our board members had that result. By that evening, because they're hungry for results. And we always delay results because we're always afraid. We're like, oh, we need the triple check. Don't triple check. And you know what? If they ask you, cool. A question from an executive is just that. It's a question. Answer it. If you had assumption, explain it. If the assumption changed, explain that. It's not a big deal. But if you report, they will keep the attention on. If you disappear and come in a month, they're already on to the next thing. They don't even remember you did that. So what are you afraid of? Don't be afraid. Just go for it. Go for it and adjust it. Update it the next day. Send the updated one. And you fix it. But you will keep the conversation. I think it's really important. And I see that. I'm probably the only one that reports out in my company. And everybody else is, oh, this template is not right. Don't go into that detail. If you know what is the core thing that you're delivering, just issue it. And that's the other one. Don't issue it that way, please. I mean, nobody's gonna, no hearts will warm here. But if you go and show something like this, right? Or like we showed pictures of children that are posing in front of the facial recognition camera. I mean, you get money with that. So just do it. Last is the barrier thing. I'm sure all of us have lists of people that are like, so-and-so is my barrier. So-and-so doesn't support me. These people don't get it. Okay, I know they don't. But the problem is, you're more of a barrier than you think. And I'll tell you where. And I think we all are guilty of that. When is the last time you had a cross-functional meeting with IT, with everybody you think of that you need to talk about a problem and kind of rally the whole organization around it? How often do you have those meetings? How much are you engaging with all of these people? Because that's how you get it. You have to stop thinking like you're a function in this company or whatever organization you work in. You are an ambassador. You are a mindset. You are a marketer. And you gotta hustle. You gotta hustle in all of your departments to get that feeling, to get these results out so that you can feel their excitement and feed it. Somebody, I think it was Greg yesterday, said, oh, we're just reporting. We're not only reporting. People are building it, but we are the engine and the oil behind that building. If you inspire people, even if it's your operations department, they will do the work. But you need to get them there. And you get them there by meeting with them and rallying them around that. Now, are they going to complain? Yeah. Are there going to be people that are going to go to your boss and be like, he did this, blah, blah, blah. They're encroaching on my territory. This is not their job. Yes. But guess what? If you have a boss and you have established that relationship, like I had, my boss said, thank you. Thank you for telling me. That's her job. So if you have the right boss, you're going to have a boss that's going to defend you. And if you have results, people will be there for you. Because guess what? Nobody can argue with results. So get results. Thank you.
Thank you, Liliana. It was amazing.
Thank you.
I have to learn something from there. How to present and how I've learned a lot. Anyways, you had a long time of long conversations and everything. I have one question before Georgia. This is a personal question. I went to one of the courses in MIT for design thinking. It says everything with brand starts with design. Mm-hmm. So, and like I said, I stalked a little bit about your profile and everything. So, what's your thought process about? And I know you contributed to the JFK lobby and the check-in transformation. So I just wanted to.
So the question is about design?
Yeah, design thinking.
So design thinking, for me, I mean, first, all of my team members are going through that. Whoever is hired within 3 months, I send them to design thinking. But it's not something novel. For me, design thinking is more empathy training. And it's more about really thinking, why are you doing something? So the lobby redesign, when we did that whole project, I learned how painstaking it can be to do a perfect design, because you really need to think through the customer and go put yourself in their shoes and understand. Even honestly, guys, if I tell you how many conversations we had about the trash bins, I mean, back to the restroom conversation yesterday, if you remember one thing, it's this trash bins. It's amazing how a small element can be so controversial. And you're like, are you kidding me? Every airport has different rules about trash bins. And if you have self-tagging kiosks, you have paper that you need to discard. How many is too many? Where do you position them? Design thinking, to me, is a discipline that teaches you to pay attention to the details.
Thank you. Audience question, please.
Hi, Liliana. I wanted to ask you more about that paper bag and that apple. My guess is that costs less than the $15 that somebody now sees on their phone in the voucher. It's a huge customer experience step forward, makes complete sense. But if it's going to cost 30% more, 50% more, 100% more, how did you or do you talk about it with your leaders about what that return on that investment looks like?
Yeah. So how we presented it, and just full disclosure, I'm still fighting that one. It's the customization that we don't have with the Apple. So, and whenever I encounter something I want to launch that by itself doesn't completely kind of justify the investment, I find adjacent things that would be added value, and then I increase the value that we are delivering. So with this specific one, we want to partner not just with food vouchers, but we want to do a whole experience. We want to do cars, we want to be able to do hotels, but we want to have a back engine that would customize the package for each person depending on their pain and value score. So it's a part of a bigger conversation. And the justification is that I'm going to optimize the pie that we send today, which is everybody gets this, to, hey, some people are barely disrupted because they just got delayed a couple of hours, where I have another one that was canceled yesterday, delayed now, and they're much more severely impacted. But because of the whole engine that we're building, we're going to be able to reallocate the funding, and whenever we offer something, it will be meaningful. Yeah, I'm doing the net, pretty much where you were going yesterday with the reinvestment, but then I'm adding, I made a wheel, and then I said all of the things that this new experience will give them. You know, customization, power, and all that, and that's where I'm shifting versus the whole feeling of cattle that you have when you're given bags. Yeah. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So I deal with a lot of people, like my directors, who want examples, case studies of basically a business that's a clone of theirs. So in your case, I would be going to my leaders, they'd be like, okay, but show me another airline at another airport at a top tier city like we are that's doing it and what they've seen. When you're trying to do something that the industry hasn't done before, how do you approach that from proving a return or estimating what the return might be?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, with the facial recognition program, I think that's exactly where we are. And that's where you need visionary leadership. With the self-service lobbies, it was easy because other carriers had done it. With the facial, and even we met with our executives last week, and we had the same conversation. And my leader keeps telling them, hey, it's actually not done. So we can't really tell you what the metrics would be. But what we can do is, and again, if you start with the measurements and with some real analysis, you can build before and after modeling and show them what it would look like. And the rest is really fate. It's really faith and understanding that if you have a leader, to be frank, that it's a leader that's worth working for, they probably know what are the trends in these industries. They know that there is a self-driving vehicle coming up. They know that the facial recognition is coming up. These are trends that will happen. So then it's their choice, and the conversation is more about, hey, do you want to be at the forefront of this trend, or do you want to just be a follower? And if you're a follower, to what level you're comfortable with your risk you're taking to being too late into the game and losing on like somebody like Toys R Us who never built an e-commerce or digital experience, because there is a flexing kind of a measurement of how late can you be before you actually are irrelevant. And I think that is an important metric to introduce as well these days, because I can tell you, even with facial recognition, last year we launched our trial in Boston, and I thought it would take years before other carriers start doing this. I don't know how many of you follow this, but by now there's so many carriers that have done this, and it's less than a year. We launched June 6th, so less than a year later, we have 3-4 airlines that already are doing this, or airports across the world are doing this. The speed with which adoption happens these days is phenomenal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you